Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ira Tillman, and this is the Ira Tillman Show. Today, we are here in Inglewood with Phill Morris, a very interesting character in the community. He's the executive director of a nonprofit group called Generation X Group. He's here to serve the youth of Los Angeles and the community, and we're going to find out a lot about him and his group today.
It's the Ira Tillman Show. 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 Who's that man? Ira Tillman Show. Who's that man? Ira Tillman Show. Do the best you can. Ira Tillman Show. It's the Ira Tillman Show. Ira Tillman Show.
Okay, we're here with Phill Morris. Phill, thanks for being with us, taking out the time today or your busy day. I've heard a lot of good things about the Generation X group. I know it's a nonprofit, and I know that you are helping today's youth, and I like to use their own at-risk youth, but you're here for all the youth. Explain Generation X and what's its mission statement.
Generation X Group is a nonprofit organization that provides social services to the youth in inner city. We provide counseling, mentoring, tutoring, leadership development, and we have a number of curriculums that we work with the youth.
Now, that curriculum, I see that you have a school set up here. You have a nice sized classroom. Look like it fits about 20 students. I see a lot of arts and crafts, and I see on the wall that you guys take a lot of field trips. What inspired you to get involved with today's youth with Generation X Group?
Well, first, I am one of those youth. I grew up in the inner city of Los Angeles. At a very young age, I joined a gang. I didn't have any positive outcome or people to work with me to give me another choice. And so as I got older, my brother died in a car accident. And that sparked me to want to be able to provide something for the youth today to do besides negative. He was racing and the cars crashed and both guys died. And so from that, which was 1984, I have been working with the youth consistently providing social services.
Now, yeah, you mentioned your brother. Now, I can say that your brother probably sparked this idea to give back to the community, maybe partly in his name, and probably for the most part to guide the youth away from the activity that may have cost him his life, and maybe make the youth see other alternatives to do positively with their time. What I want to ask you though is, you say that you came out of the streets and the gang lifestyle yourself. Can you explain and expand on that just a little bit for our viewing audience?
Well, I joined the gang at the age of 10. My oldest cousin was the only real role model in the house, and he happened to be a gang member, and I wanted to be just like him. And so being a gang member, I ended up in juvenile hall, juvenile camps, California Youth Authority, and eventually state prison. And so my involvement with the street life started at a very young age.
Now, taking that in consideration, when I listen to you, I hear a very educated man. So you had to develop a lot of your education while you were paying your dues for the lifestyle that you were living. Can you give us an educational background and kind of tell us where you're at today?
Okay, while I was incarcerated, I took up a couple of college courses at University of Laverne. And then about 20 years after my release, I decided, because I continued the negative behavior up on my release, but once I got tired of it, I decided to check into college. I went to Cal State Dominguez, where I received a degree in behavioral science and the study of psychology. I furthered my education by going through different things like violence intervention programs through the city of Los Angeles. I'm a mandated reporter. I'm also an ABA, which is Applied Behavioral Analyst, where I analyze people's troubled behavior. And then I come up with what I call ISP, Individual Service Plan, and we cater our plans to the individual. And so my education comes from schooling as well as working within corporate America. I worked with Department of Mental Health for several years as a behavioral analyst. So I can say that I was well groomed by some great people.
Well, that's pretty extensive. You don't get that in your average garden variety gang member. So, what I'm going to ask you is this: there had to be something different about you for you to tap into that. Some people hone their skills while they're incarcerated. Some people discover that they're artists, painting, drawing, even musically. They pick up a guitar or a saxophone and they find that they have a natural proclivity for it. Yours would seem to be a study of people. You're talking about behavioral science and behavioral psychology. That's not your ordinary everyday West Side pants sagging gang member. That's nothing to bring up at the meetings, you know. So when you decided to start Generation X group, did you get any type of pushback from your resident or fellow gang members?
Anyone that gets into this field, they get pushed back from the community. For one, the community wants to know that you're really about what you say you're about. For me, when I started Generation X group, I mean, I couldn't get anyone, zero, to really help. I believe it was because when I walked away from the street life, unlike most people, they go to jail or they're incarcerated and then they come home and then they walk away. Well, I walked away at my prime. No jail, no anything. I just wanted to do something different. And a lot of my homeboys didn't see it as a positive move. Like when I graduated from college, I couldn't go back to the block and say, hey, I got a degree. They didn't care about that because everybody out there had a degree from Sidewalk University. Right. So the pushback was that they wanted to see if I was real. And it's been 5 years since I started my own, and I still get a little bit of pushback. Like I get kids from every community, Compton, Los Angeles, Watts, Inglewood, Long Beach, but I have yet to get any of my homeboys' children in my program. And so I know they're going to come, and I wait for them to come because I have a policy. I'm willing to work with you at the level that you're willing to participate. And right now they're not participating, but I'm willing still.
Okay, Phil. One thing that I'm interested in, because I see the classrooms and they fairly look like middle school to high school classrooms. But what are the age groups that you guys service here at Generation X Group?
Well, we start at the age of 5. And we start at 5 because most children become impact about the age of 1.5. So by the time they're 5, if they have no positive structure, it's almost kind of like they're doomed. So we start at 5 because that gives us room to work with them and they can be able to talk and say what's going on with them. And we go all the way up to high school level. Now we do work with youth that's older than 18, but they come in more as volunteers and they come through our work readiness program. They may come through a job readiness program, the different programs, and we also outsource youth. If we don't provide the services, we collaborate with several other organizations that do provide the service. And so, again, because we're non-funded, we don't have any grants, we are limited to a lot of things that we can do. But within what we do have, we do a lot. The scale is just huge. I mean, from mentoring and counseling, and then you turn around and what we call Generation Experience. We take kids to Yosemite National Park every year to experience the wilderness, and then we hike to the top of a waterfall, Yosemite waterfall. And when we get there, we do workshops. We do workshops on life skill management like conflict resolution, anger management, self-esteem, self-respect. And usually the kids turn around, we have them to write an essay about their experience. And we also film all the stuff we do. And so we film it, we take pictures, and then we put the video together to give to the sponsors and the donors who support us every year, which is like mom and pop businesses, to show them what we're doing. And so every 100% of all donations go towards the Generation X Group program. I don't get paid at all. I have consulting jobs that pays me, but none of the staff gets paid. So 100% of all donations goes to the program.
You had my ears perk up when you said they write essays. And you know, I'm a writer, and I want to see some of those essays next time they come in. 5 years old. That is the age group where they've identified the majority of your learning abilities are going to be from 1 to 5. Is there a real problem within that age group, gang territory wise, or any type of negativity as far as violence in school, anything like that?
Well, I've seen gang members 5, 6 years old, and they're mimicking dad, uncle, mom. Some families, which are generational gangs, the kids grow up into it. It's not even an option. And so what we do is we come in and we want to break that cycle. We want to break the childhood conditioning, that generational curse. And it's almost like what we do is we break all that stuff down and then we rebuild them with nothing but positive inputs. That's experiences, that's conversation, that's making friendship with police officers. We have the kids to talk to the police, let them know the police has a job to do. They're not the enemy. And so, yes, we started doing 5 years old because I've seen 5 year olds just out of control.
Okay, Phil. Now, you told me about the pushback that you got from your contemporaries, and that's what I'm going to call them. Um, Working nonprofit also means that you sometimes, or a lot of times, you have to deal with other races to get cooperation and funding, and just you have to deal with them. You know, I found as a writer, I have to talk to a lot of police that I'm not used to talking to, and I'm sure raising money that crosses those lines too. Do you get any type of negative reaction from having to maybe go down to a local police station and ask for donations or contributions or what have you? People look at you like you might be working with the police or anything of that nature. What do you say to those critics?
Well, what I say to them is this: there's a street code. No matter how professional I become, I live by that street code because that same code is a part of the normal society. But now, I don't work with the police. They have a job to do, and I have one to do. My obligation is to the community. There's no snitching in this arena. Um, for me, that is. So what happens is the police officers generally don't make donations. But what the relationship that I have with the police department in my community is when a young man gets arrested, instead of taking him to jail, call me. Let's make him go through my program. And if he doesn't complete the program, then we'll pick back up from there. But if he completes the program, then there's no arrest and things fall over. And usually we have about a 76% success rate with the youth. And it's not that we're doing something so glamorous. They know we really care. And we don't just bring them to the program. We also follow them at home. We make relationships with the probation officer, the schools, all entities within that youth life. And so when it comes to raising funding for what we do, most of the local mom and pop stores are our biggest funders. We don't get any grants from anyone. And so with that, that's how we work it. And all our services are free. So it cuts down, all of staff are volunteers. So it cuts down a huge overhead.
That's great. Well, my next question is one I'm sure that you're going to be able to jump on top of. I can't wait to hear the answer to this. If I bring my nephew in, my imaginary nephew, and he's having some behavioral issues, and your program, I don't know if it's a 30-day program, 60-day, or how it was just individually catered to the kid and the circumstance. What can I expect from him when I get him back from you after a certain time period?
Well, generally it takes anywhere from about 2 to 6 weeks to form a bond with that child. If the child doesn't trust you, they're not going to open up. If they don't open up, you can't work with them. So in that time period, what I'm doing is forming a bond. I'm finding out his or her needs, their desires, and then not all kids have trouble with behavior. A lot of times you have to see past the trouble and get to the root of the problem, which is what a famous guy once told me. He said, see the person first and then the trouble second, which means if I see the person first, I'm going to want to build a relationship with him or her. And then you get to root of what the problem is. The problem is the outside of what we see, but that's not the root. The root may be just the simple fact that he missed his dad. He's living with his mom, but he don't know how to articulate that in words.
You may not know it.
Absolutely. And so what I do is I come in and through conversation, I form a service plan. And now in that service plan, things can change and go in another direction at any time. So we're open. Now, as far as the program, we generally want kids bare minimum 3 weeks. I mean, three months, because it takes several weeks to get to know that kid and for that kid to trust you.
Right.
And once they trust, again, like I said, they are pretty much, they open up to you. And that's how we work with it. And what you would see, a change in behavior, a change in his academics at school, grade level change. We've had, last summer we've had 53 kids. And out of 53 kids, there was about 23 that had like C average. Well, the first progress report, they've all been boosted up about maybe 4 or 5 points. So that's a really huge plus. Now, even though we are out of the summer, this is now school season, I still text about 25 kids every morning. Good morning. Have a blessed day. Remember, no drama, no fighting, no gangs. Mind your own. And I encourage them. And they send me their progress reports and they tell me about issues they have in their school. So it's not just that they come to the Generation X group office. We also go to them, whether it's over the phone, whether it's through email, or in the presence.
Now, the what you just described seems to me is kind of a parental or a family, uncle, grandfather type relationship. The parents bring them here to begin with, or they give them permission to be here. Are the parents sometimes the problem that you have to overcome and you have to pull them to the side and talk to them, or is just leave it between Generation X and the kids?
I have to scratch my head on that one. All right, parents, don't get mad at me. But the parents, 9 times out of 10, are the biggest problem. It's something that the kids see they're doing or not doing that causes the kid to react. A lot of parents have this thing, do as I say, not as I do. That don't work. It's never worked. And so what I do is every 4th week, dealing with the kid, I ask what I can discuss with the parent, and then we have what we call, the family counseling session. And then I give the parent some instructions. Whatever we talk about, when you leave, you get in the car, you can't get mad, you can't go upside his head, you can't scream and shout. You have to be open to receive. Because anytime you want 2 people to come together and to get a mutual understanding, both parties have to give up something. And so when the parents get that concept, and I tell parents, be a parent, not a friend. You cannot be your child's friend. It is impossible to do both, because if you his or her friend and he tell you he want to have a drink as his friend, you can't tell him no.
Right.
So that's the separation. And so once parents get the concept that we're parents, you're not going to like everything I say, you're not going to like everything I do, but I'm doing what's best for you.
And that's really kind of a partnership that you're signing on with the parents. We're in this together to make sure your kid is headed in the right direction and maybe thinking more positively. Why else are you here? You're here because you see something that he's needing and you don't know how to get it to him. Now, as a football coach, I dealt with a lot of impoverished homes, and kids are embarrassed by poverty. They don't know how to cure it, and they don't know how to make it different within their own home. Do you find that here at Generation X?
A large number of our kids come from low-income families. Anytime a kid is denied both parents, that kid has been neglected. And a lot of times, you won't find that in any book. This is my own synopsis. When a child is neglected, they act out because they're acting out for something they need. And most of the parents don't know how to give them that. So when you come to Generation X group, I'm known as the father hen. So therefore, I give you a father figure, I give you a role model, and I give you a person that can be fun and loving. But at the same time, what's more important to me is your success. I'll make sure every kid understand. A lot of people give kids too many options. There's only one option, and that is to succeed. Up under options, you have a lot of choices. And what falls behind choices is decisions, and every decision has a consequence, good or bad. And so once the kids get that and they identify with, I can be successful, and being successful doesn't mean I'm gonna have to be a gang member, a dope dealer, a prostitute, or some dancer, you know, performing some sexual act to make money. It's a challenge because kids learn based on what they see in their homes. So let's just say, for example, if a kid comes home and every night his mom got a different woman, a different guy in the home, he's going to feel like I'm supposed to have a lot of women. Or when a young boy has a girlfriend and she breaks his heart, the first thing a mom says is, boy, there's too many girls out there. Don't you be worried about no one girl. You too young for a relationship anyway. What he heard was, man, you a player. You don't have to love on no women. You don't have to be loyal. Man, go out there and get your girls and just have them. So we have to be careful as to the message we send our youth. You know, we may send it 1, 2, 3, and they may get it 3, 2, 1.
Right.
So we have to be cautious of how we say things.
Now, you said success, and it kind of triggered my imagination, but I heard you speak on this before. You have had some really good successes come out of this program. Talk to me about a few kids and where they started and where they wound up.
Well, there's one particular kid. He came to us in 2014. He was released from a juvenile detention center. And I asked, what did he want to do? He said he didn't know. So I encouraged him to go to college until he figured it out. Just a stepping stone. And I used the lovely women that's in college. And I explained to him there's a lot of beautiful women there. If you think the girls in the hood is beautiful, go to college. Right. Well, he got to college. And the attraction was women, so it kept him going. He's at Cal State Dominguez right now. And he's going into his third year. He's about a B average. And he wants to be an engineer, which I love that because engineers are the highest paid jobs coming out of college. And so for him, that's what he wants to be. I encourage that. I call him sometimes. I talk to him to, make sure he's on the right track. I pop up at the school, talk to the parents. He's still doing well, but it lets him know that there's a shadow. Right. Because his success is my success.
Right. And it's a responsibility.
Right. Yeah. And so we had another young man who we took fishing, never been on a boat in his life. He was 12 at the time, not even the legal age to work. He enjoyed it so much, he asked if he can work on a boat. So we rehearsed how to go talk to the captain. He talked to the captain hired him, paid him $10 an hour, 12 hours a day, 3 days a week. He's been working there. This is now his third year there.
Oh, man, yes. That is beautiful.
Yes, and so he's now, 16, 17 years old. He buys all his own clothes when it comes school time, and he buys his 2 younger sibling clothes. Okay. So he makes good money, and he really cares. He has 8 brothers and sisters.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. Well, those 2 examples are what we can expect from Generation X Group. Then I think we're in pretty good hands here. If people want to get in touch with you for donations or articles they may want to see if you can use, how do they get in touch with you?
We have a website. It's www.generationxgroup.org. Again, that's www.generationxgroup.org. And then you can call us directly at 310-424-5855. 310-424-5855.
Now, do you have a personal email that you can give out? Maybe they can email you?
You can email me directly at generationxgrp@gmail.com.
One more time.
generationxgrp@gmail.com.
Okay, well, this has been a delightful afternoon in Inglewood, talking to Phill Morris. He's the executive director of Generation X Group. They're helping today's youth, at risk, non at risk, helping them to decide what they want to do with their futures and showing them how to take steps to get there. I like what I hear. I'm going to of course, try to assist you when I can and if I can, and we'll see if we can get some other people on board and see if we can get these classrooms filled up with some newer books and newer computers and stuff that you need for everyday function. This is Ira Tillman in Inglewood with Phill Morris, Generation X Group. See you guys again next week. We're going to have, I don't know if we're going to have a more interesting guest, but we're going to have somebody that you like.